everyone. Welcome to Beyond the Classroom, run by the AFX department in FCM. Beyond the Classroom is a series of talks as part of the 25th anniversary of our animation program here in FCM. It's also a part of the Unlock FCM showcase, and we're focusing more on inviting alumni back to share their experiences and their insights on life after university. So today we have quite an exciting lineup. We have Anas Abdul Aziz and Miss Lin Shuki. These sessions are divided into two. So we have one that is running from 8 to 8 to 9, and then that is Mr. Anas's session, and then we have the 9 to 10 p.m., which is Shuki's session. So let's introduce Mr. Anas first. Okay, so he is an alumni of MMU, Chief Content Officer and showrunner for Mecha Mato from Monster Studios. He is the Chief Content Officer and Monster's new 3D for Monster's new 3D animated series premiering in 2021. So Anas is responsible for the overall story development, oversees the animation production, and handles post audio direction. He also leads the creative team in writing scripts and developing new IPs, including the regionally successful Boboy Boy franchise, which boasts a total of 76 episodes, 2 feature films, and an ongoing comic series. Being a voice actor as well, he has voiced more than 13 characters in Monster's animated shows, including Bobo Boy's fan favorite aliens, Adu Du and Probe. So here we're gonna hear a little bit about his experiences. Hi, Anas. Welcome to the show. You can begin.
Hi everyone. Assalamualaikum and good evening. Thanks to everyone for inviting me. Thanks to Christina, the moderator, for introducing me. I'd like to have a special thank you to Mr. Azizul, or better known as Jijo, for inviting me to give this talk to the FCM students. And I'd like to thank everyone who tuning in, and hopefully, whatever I'll be sharing, my knowledge and experiences throughout the years in the creative industry will be beneficial, and will help you decide your career path in animation. Okay, so I'll be presenting my talk now. Hang on. Okay, let's see. Bring. Okay. Going to present now. Everyone can hear me clearly, right?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So first of all, again, I'm the chief content officer for Monster. What chief content officer means that I basically handle things from the story development, IP development, and also the audio direction of the series and overall content production. Am also the showrunner for the Mekamato series, which means that I take care of the overall story direction from the beginning of script to the end of the post production side. This includes the animation, the audio, the overall visual look as well. I'm also the script writer for Monster, one of the lead script writers, where I write scripts as well. And on the side, I also voice a few characters from the Monster characters. But for Mekamato, I've actually not voiced as much as I used to, because I think I like to give more opportunities for other people to voice, because in Bobo Boy alone I have a bit too many voice characters. So my talk will be about from MMU to Monster, and it's more about what we do at Monster, who we are, and some of the products that we have released in the past and lately. After that, I'll be talking a little bit about how I started from MMU itself, because I'm an MMU alumni, And finally, some ideas for everyone on what kind of career opportunities that are available once you graduated and join the animation industry. So, without further ado, I think I will begin. After our talk, I think we can open for questions. Okay. All right, so this is Monster. This is all of us. Well, I mean, not all of us. The original 7 people who started Monster, and we are a character business company and an IP enabler with a diverse portfolio of products that we cater to mostly kids and families. We've got more than a decade of experience because we've been established since 2009. We focus on feature films and TV series, merchandising, and other related products in the intellectual property business. So I noticed that I did not mention that we are an animation company, which I will explain a little bit later. Our manpower is now about 140 plus people. I haven't been keeping track what's the latest number, but we are growing quite fast. So from 7 people now we have 140 plus. Our core businesses are different from other animation companies because we create our own IP. We create our own characters, our show concepts, and then from the characters and the concepts, we start to make different iterations of the show. So this means that we can go into comic like. Producing the show in the form of a comic like the Bobo Boy Galaxy Season 2 comic that has been released on a monthly basis. This is actually comic first before it becomes an animation, and then we also are releasing it aside from being physical in bookstores and convenience stores. We're also releasing it in digital on Google Play, on other platforms, and soon we'll be releasing it in motion comics as well. After that, we'll be doing animated series and movies. So this is the only animation part of our core businesses, which includes series and for TV, for television, for streaming platforms, and also movies for theatrical release in cinemas. Once our show is completed in an animated form, we start to distribute it. We popularize it. We place it in multiple markets on multiple platforms to make sure that audiences like our show, like our characters. And we do our own digital network distribution as well on our own platforms as digital content and also social media engagement with our fans. And finally, we also have consumer products that we both create our own consumer products and also we license our products for multiple markets. So see, these are some of the animated series that we have. As you know, it's Bobo Boy. For the first one, we have about 76 episodes, I believe. From Bobo Boy season 1, season 2, season 3, and then Bobo Boy Galaxy. Bobo Boy Galaxy season 2 has not been released yet because we're still focusing on Mekamato, which I'll be touching later. But the Bobo Boy Galaxy season 2 comics have already begun, so the story has continued in the form of comics. So we realized that as an IP business, as a company that creates characters, we don't need to be restricted in the form of animation. We also produce Mekamato in the form of an animated series that has just been launched last year on Cartoon Network Asia Pacific. By Asia Pacific, I mean that is also released in Japan, Korea, Australia, and some other regions as well. And we're also producing Papa PP series in the form of shorts and on TikTok and all the rest. So before we continue, I like to just quickly play a video for some of you who have never seen Mekamato, just so you know what we're talking about. So let me just share this. Hopefully this plays well.
Robot berbahaya dari angkasa lepas telah tiba di bumi. Salah satu daripadanya ialah Mechapod yang memiliki kuasa mechanize. Bersama tuan barunya Amato, mereka bekerjasama untuk menangkap robot-robot jahat yang lain. Dan mereka bergabung menjadi I'm a hero, Mechamato. Imagine it, build it, make it real. Jiwa raga membara, kita gabung, kita kembara. Bersatu tenaga, kuasa mechanize luar biasa. Jiwa membara, bergabung tenaga. I'm a hero, Mechamato. Bebaskan
Okay, so that was the Mekamato opening theme song. Hopefully that played with sound. Was that playing with sound just now?
It was. It was very fun to watch, and it was playing
Okay.
with sound. Yeah.
Good. So it's a good thing that we're using Google Meet so that I can it actually plays the sound as well. So I just want to show another video, and this video is the Japanese promo for Mekamato that was released on Cartoon Network Japan. Not available in other. I mean, unfortunately, we cannot watch it from Malaysia.
地球へやってきた謎の物体。
何これ。
俺はメカモット、宇宙一危険なデストロイヤーロボットだ。メカブラスタ
かっけえ。
ー、メカ
いいね。
何しやがった。
うわー、喋るゴミ箱になった。
あなたは街を襲うバットロボを複数探知した。合体して戦おう。
了解。メカボットメカナイズ。
宇宙から来たバッドロボと戦う超合体変形スーパーヒーロー日本見参。
そう僕はメカマト。
カートゥーンスペシャルメカアマト3月27日午後2時と夜7時カートゥーンネットワーク。
Okay, so that is the Mekamato it's series promo in Japanese. So it's been already played in Japan in March. So hopefully, inshallah, that we get a good reaction from the all Japanese audiences, and then the series picks up well. And our hope is that when I was growing up, I was teringin nak makan dorayaki because of Doraemon. I always wondered how it tastes like. So I hope that Japanese kids will grow up hoping to eat karipap, and they want to learn more about our culture and our food as well. So those are some of the series that we have, and these are animated movies. The first one is Bobo Boy the movie in 2016, and then Bobo Boy movie 2 on 2019. So for the Mekamato movie, we were confident that we could release it in 2020, but then everyone knows that the pandemic happens, COVID spoiled our plans, so we had to put a stop to that. So we were actually almost finishing on the movie when the pandemic happened. So, but we had to stop production. We had to switch gears because we knew that okay, with the pandemic, with everyone staying at home, there's no way that we could release this movie in theaters. Theaters were closed anyway, and people aren't really comfortable to watch the movie when the lockdown is open anyway. So we decided to focus our attention towards producing the series first, releasing it, and that's why we switched gears and then went into the series production, all working from home. The first season was completely done work from home, and then we released it on Cartoon Network in December last year. So that's very exciting. So hopefully we'll be able to release Mekamato movie soon, because I think it's looking very very good now that the COVID cases are very very low, and people are more confident towards bringing their family out to watch movies in cinemas. So please wait for us when we start to announce when the release date for the Mekamato movie is. And these are some of the voice actors that have worked in the past. I haven't got the final pictures for Mekamato movie, but well, I'll share it once it's ready. So our content, we're distributing it in the whole of Asia Pacific region, including also the India sub-region. So we're the biggest kids and family entertainment here from all our three IPs. So these are some of the broadcasters and the platforms that we have worked with in the past and still working with. We are on our digital networks as well, with YouTube with 20 million subscribers, with TikTok as well, 4 million followers, and also on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. It's interesting to note that like the recent video of Bobo Boy Kembali Aidil Fitri that was released during Hari Raya, Hari Raya season. That video, while performing very well on YouTube, it was outperforming on TikTok. So it's very interesting because the audiences, behavior are changing. People are actually watching a lot more content on TikTok, myself included. And others that we work on are we have an online store to sell our products. We have a Monster store on Shopee. We have our own Monster store online, and also Lazada Monster store, Bibli for Indonesia. And just recently, we launched Monster store Shopee in the Philippines. So our Philippine fans are very excited to finally be able to order our merch and get it delivered to their country. So these are the monsters intellectual properties. Again, we don't call it as animations because our properties have traveled far beyond the animation platform. We have Bobo Boy, we have Mekamato, we have Papa Pipi, and we also have A Fly with Yaya. This is a short series where Yaya travels in Japan. It's a Muslim friendly travel show, combining Yaya as a 3D character in real life locations, and also as a tip for Muslim tourists on how to find halal food, some interesting attractions, and all the rest, including Yaya was invited. We had Yakult invite Yaya to come and visit at their factory in Japan, which leads to brand collaboration, because once our products are popular, our characters are very popular, we are able to attract a lot of brands, big sponsors to work with us. So we've been entrusted by a lot of GLCs, FMCGs, and top tier companies to work with us both in Malaysia and Indonesia. So you can see there's some food products here like Indomilk, Fernleaf, Yos, lots of products that we have worked with. So this is the typical process of making an animation in an intellectual property that's popular. Once we've got the characters popular, you can work with a lot of sponsors, a lot of big corporations. These are some of the branded content collaborations that we worked in the past. Malaysian Cocoa Board promoting benefits of cocoa and creating the Professor Cocoa for that. We have worked with Perkeso for disability workers, with even the CEO Perkiso in the 3D animation. We've worked with brand commercials with like brands like such as Prego and Yakult. Well, like I said, Yakult, Yaya visited the Yakult factory in Japan, and also Yaya's Yakult Kubasmi campaign, which is, if I'm not mistaken, the Kumor Baso and Minom campaign. For Prego, it was basically promoting the Prego's pasta, teaching cooking a tutorial. And the thing about Prego was it's interesting because it was Papa and Pipi that were doing the brand endorsement. So it's not all about Bobo Boy. All our characters are also very active with brand content collaborations. The recent one we've been doing is also public awareness with Air Selangor, where we use Bobo Boy Air, and also the United Nations Development Program for promoting educating river and environmental preservation. And at the bottom here, you can see some other branded content that we've done with SPRM, and Kementerian Kesehatan and all the rest. So we, apart from that, we work with other partners in licensing and collaboration. Licensing means that they take our brand, they take our license, and then they can create their own consumer products and release it in the market. And lastly, but we also produce our own consumer products. As mentioned, that we have Bobo Boy Galaxy Season 2 in the comic form. So this is the first time for us, because usually we always make an animation first and then we make it a spin-off in the form of comic. But this is the first time we're releasing it in the form of comic. And this is quite similar to how the Japanese companies do. They always produce a manga first, and once the manga is popular, then they start making an animation from it. So the story, the characters live on without an animation. Once the Bobo Boy Galaxy Season 2 comics start becoming common and popular, we start also making Bobo Boy Galaxy cards promoting at the same time. So new Bobo Boy Galaxy cards showcasing new Bobo Boy powers, like new fusions, are also tied in with the comics that come out. And lastly is the Figura, the Bobo Boy Figura series, which is basically action figures for kids to buy and play. So, how do we get here? How do we get from a small company to a team of 140 with releasing to multiple regions? And as you all know, I started in MMU. A long time ago, I started MMU in 2001. I had no idea what I wanted to do, other than I knew that it had to be something related to multimedia, because during my time, in 2000, everyone was saying something to do with multimedia. I didn't know what I wanted to do at that time. But once I went to a multimedia university, I saw a lot of portfolios in animation. I knew that I wanted to learn something related to animation, and the rest is history. So this is an early photo of me. If you can see me, it's a photo of me during DJ club at MMU Radio. This is one of the earliest voice work that I was doing as just as a fun curriculum thing, just for fun. I was a DJ at that time. I believe my name was DJ Toaster or something. I can't remember why I chose that name. So yeah, and in 2006, when I graduated, I was recruited by Nizam to join Laskopat to work on Geng Pengembaraan Bumula and Upin Ipin. It was very important because to note that I was actually not working in a animation group for my final year project. I was not in a group work. I was solo, but I always kept in close contact, became friends with Nizam, Safwan, and the rest. And so from that kind of friendship, he invited me to join Let's Go Pa in the early days to work on Upi Ipin and Gang. So I was a script writer there, and also was audio director then. And then after in 2009, we felt that we had enough knowledge and enough experience that we wanted to start our own company and our own brand and our own animated show. So 2009, we established Animonsta Studios at that time, and now we are known as Monster. For five founders, one of the founders is not in this photo. And now, 2022, we have grown our team to 140 plus. So as you can see, it's impossible to have all animators here. We have a big group of people, include from production and non-production type. We have business teams, we have a legal team, we have a consumer products team. So a lot of people in the IP business, and which leads to my next question, which is the career in animation industry. So a lot of the students are listening in right now are wondering, so when you graduate, what are you going to do when you enter the creative industry, right? So the first thing I'm going to say is that you can be whatever you want to be. All right. So I was exactly like you guys. I started in animation. I had my own modeling and animation and everything. But when I graduated and when I started working, I went into script, and also I went into audio direction. So I was doing both things at the same time because we were a small company at that time. But I have not touched Maya since, I don't know, 2006 maybe. I haven't touched Maya in a long, long time. And I realized that my strength in animation was more towards the IP development, the story, the script, and also the audio, which, evidently because of that, I made a lot of, voiced a lot of characters. So if you are a student and you want to go into the creative industry, I wouldn't say animation industry, creative industry, you can go ahead and figure out what you want to do. If you, even though you're making a final year project in animation form or in a VFX form or any other form, don't be worried about what you want to do exactly in your career. Just focus on what you're strong at, focus on what you're passionate about, and just give it a try, because who knows, you might be working in an animation company focusing on story, IP development, or something else like that. Okay. So that's about it. I think it's best that I don't talk too much, and we can take questions from everyone. That's all from me for my talk, and I hope that was beneficial. And I'm welcome to any questions regarding the career in the animation industry.
Thank you, Anas. That was very insightful, very impressive. I'm seeing that a lot of people are very excited for the Nakamato movie. Hopefully, that will be coming out soon. It looks really great. I think reflecting back on what you said, how when we watch Japanese anime and all that, and we look forward to trying like onigiri and all that. And it will be so nice to have other countries to want like roti canai and all that. And seeing the teasers and all that, and seeing very quintessential Malaysian elements. It's nice that that's being brought over the pond to where we got our inspiration from, essentially. So yeah, a few questions. So like you said, you're alumni of MMU, and it was a good point that you said when you joined, you weren't exactly sure what you wanted to do. Um, is there any specific memory or experience during those days that essentially shaped you, or anything that you remember back when you were studying that affected how you probably work now or how you make your choices?
Um, I feel like there was no defining moment. Everything just slowly steered me towards this direction. But I do notice that when I was a kid, I loved cartoons a lot. I mean, I was watching Cartoon Network and Disney Channel even in my teens, even in my MMU days. I was still watching animation. I was still watching cartoons. Um, I was also playing a lot of games. At first, I thought that I wanted to work as in medical, maybe like being a doctor. But then I saw like medical dramas like at that time ER and Chicago Hope and the rest. I saw that, oh my God, the doctors are working so hard. They were sleeping in the hospitals. I don't want to work like that. I want to work something easy. So I want to work in animation or gaming. But then turns out I'm
It's
still
exactly the same.
Exact thing. So there's no easy job out there. So jokes on me, right? But at the same time, because it's something that I was passionate about, I love cartoons, I love stories, and I realized that when I played video games, I always enjoyed watching the cinematics, watching the shows, and watching the story, understanding the story, and that sort of kind of veered me towards animation. But I remember in I think it was alpha or beta year, I saw some final animation work from the FA. At that time we call it FA, like Frameline Animation. Now it's AFX, right? So at that time I saw some animation. I thought, I was blown away that oh my God, Malaysians can actually do this kind of creative 3D animation. I want to be a part of that, right? And also when I was working in when I was making my animations in FA at that time, when we had screenings in MMU, when we screened our animations, one of my earlier animations, I enjoyed seeing reactions from people. I think my gamma animation was about to asylum people, to mental patients in an asylum. They thought they were toys, which is basically using the audio from Toy Story. And I enjoyed seeing people laughing at that. And then in my final year animation, I did something a little bit dark, but I enjoyed hearing people shocked and being entertained at the same time from the animation. So I knew that I wanted to do something by entertaining people, whatever it is. And so the animation industry seemed logical. It's only after a few years in the animation industry did I realize, together with Nizam and Safwan and Yompen, is that actually we're not doing animation business. We're creating an IP, we're creating characters, and then we're telling a story regardless of whatever platform it is. So I think it's interesting for MMU students, whatever it is that you're doing. If you if you love drawing more than animation, then you can be a comic artist, you can be a concept artist, and you can be a really really good one. You can be an art director in the future. If you love music, even though you're in FA, you can work in as a composer for animation. And that doesn't even limit to only FCM, because if you love animation but you don't know how to do animation, but you're in management or IT, you can still work in the industry, because we hire people from in legal, we hire people in from management, we hire people from interface design, and also VR as well. And these people are actually creating a lot of new products for us. That's not just essentially just animation. That's one of the things that I like about MMU. We have lots of different faculties, and we also have when we're learning FCM overall, we learn a lot of subjects at the same time. Like I didn't realize that I would be working in audio, specifically becoming an audio director and everything. But that was part of the things that we learned as we went along. Like, some people enjoy doing video production. I know of MMU alumni that were in animation but are now video producers and editors. So there's a lot of opportunities if you are a FCM student or an MMU student overall.
Yes. Like you said, it's like COVID affected the industry. It even affected the release of the films, and you guys weren't able to do that because of the quarantine and all that. How would you say COVID, even now in the endemic stage, how has it affected the animation industry before and after? What are the challenges that you guys are facing?
Okay. Sorry, the audio was a bit laggy just now. So what I understand is you're saying that because of the COVID and pandemic situation, how has it affected the animation industry as a whole?
Yes.
Okay, so it's interesting. Even though that during the lockdown, everyone couldn't go out, businesses were affected, and retail businesses were affected definitely. Like for us, we had to stop our comic releases because of that. Because if we released comics, nobody would be buying it because shops aren't. But people aren't can't go out. So we shifted our focus on other things. For instance, like. We focused on creating Papa PP PSAs about COVID, and that worked a lot because at that time, Mr. Nizam was right before we went into lockdown. Mr. Nizam was like saying that a lot of people know what COVID is and know what a lockdown is, but the kids don't know what lockdown is. Kids don't understand what COVID is. So we were one of the first in at that time to actually realize that, okay, let's just do a public service announcement for kids to understand what COVID is, why they can't go out, why we have to stay safe, and that was very successful, and we got a lot of attention, and we got a lot of requests to work with Papa PP after that, including working with Kementerian Kesihatan to actually make a more PSAs regarding that, where we had DG Hisham to be involved in it. And so yes, it affected the animation industry definitely, or the creative industry, but there's always a way to do business despite the difficulties. For instance, as I understand, even though people weren't going out, so cinema business was going down, but TV business was skyrocketing because people were staying at home. Everyone was watching everyone was watching TV.
Yeah.
So even the YouTube views were going up high. So we were just constantly working from home, creating new content and releasing it online. And so that's how we capitalized from some of the limitations of the lockdown. After that, when the lockdown has been lifted and everyone's returning to public spaces, it's starting to become normal again. But it's interesting because we have to wait for the right time when we can release our show on cinema, and hopefully that time will come soon. Other than that, I understand that a lot of companies like live action companies during lockdown were having a lot of trouble getting production to continue, like live shooting. But I believe that in animation it didn't really affect so much. Of course it was difficult to work from home, but for the most part we're working from computers, and so we just switched to a work from home environment, and that turned out okay. I mean, it was difficult, of course, because communication problems, how to set deadlines within a work from home environment. I was working with the English dubbing company in Miami, and they were responding at late night, and then we had to email as soon as possible so that in the morning they would get the information, and then they would respond to us as well. Meetings in, I don't know, 10 p.m. while they were at 10 a.m. So
Yeah.
those things are some of the challenges that we had to face. But we managed to go through it. Alhamdulillah, I think that we did well. We did well.
That's good because that was one of the concerns. I think a lot of companies that didn't make it through the pandemic, a lot of them had to shut down, unfortunately. But it's nice to see that the creative industry, in a way, found its way, and thrived even in spite of challenges. We'll have another question. So, is there any advice you'd like to give to budding creatives who are scared of the whole marketing aspect of creating an IP.
The marketing aspect. Okay. Well, the thing is, we this is modern times is really exciting actually because back in the day when I was starting out, the digital platforms were like very small. People weren't on digital content, weren't consuming digital content on a daily basis. So when we did any product, we had to make sure that it went to the TV. So we had to do a lot of marketing, like meeting people, pitching to broadcasters, working with government agencies to actually get a chance to pitch to big buyers and clients. So it is definitely very difficult at that time, but it's just normal that we didn't realize that it was a big problem, but it's something that we had to be done. But now I think the new generation have a bigger opportunity because everyone is on digital platforms, right? So if you create something, you can release it on YouTube, and you can that's your marketing. Like you can release it on YouTube and you can release it on TikTok. There's a lot of people who have become big on these platforms, making new content. Like even on TikTok, and they're getting a lot of sponsorship, right? So it's not impossible, or it's not as hard as it used to be. I think what's more important is for you to focus on creating a very good product, a very good IP, a very good story, and just try your best to releasing it out. I think don't be too afraid of keeping it secret. So don't want other people to see it. I think what's best is that we live in a time where we produce something, we put it online, and we get direct feedback, and these people can be our direct consumers, our direct audiences. When we see views going up, we know something's working. If views aren't so high, aren't so big, then we know that okay, we got to improve, um, we got to do a better content, or we got to release it at a different time. And there's a lot of tips and tricks, a lot of guides on YouTube and on TikTok on how to be more seen online. So that is actually to a certain extent is marketing. So once your product is very very popular online, that is actually good information, good data for you to share with potential broadcasters. And a lot of people actually get well known because of YouTube. Like for instance, as simple as Coco Melon. Everyone knows Coco Melon now,
Yes.
and they're on Netflix as well, right?
Yeah.
But it's just an
Mhm.
animation nursery rhyme for kids. So
Mhm.
I think it's the most important thing is don't underestimate the power of online platforms, and don't underestimate as well
Mhm.
your audiences. Like I know that when I was in MMU, I wanted to do something very very deep, very for adults, but some people decided to make nursery rhymes animations and make it very catchy, release on YouTube, and then now they're very big. So it's not impossible anymore. So that's why we're focusing on TikTok and YouTube with Papa Pipi, and releasing a lot of content. I think on a weekly to weekly basis, because we gotta always continue engaging with our fans online.
I feel that with social media, TikTok, and all that, the demand for content has just skyrocketed, and there's also the worry about oversaturation and all that. But in your opinion, is there any specific genre of animation that you feel is more likable to the public, or is it more of like a game of chance?
Well, I wouldn't say genre per se, but it really depends on what you want to do in your career. Like there's a lot of companies that are focusing on adults and teenagers, right? I mean, it's easy because we're adults too, but some of the more popular genres may be like those superhero stuff. But I don't think it's mostly about genres. I think it's more about finding the target audience that you want to produce for, right? Like for
Mm-hmm.
Monster, we focus on kids, we focus on family. So we're one of the few that don't want to underestimate our kids' fan base, and will always continuously create content for kids. And the best thing about kids is that when we produce something for kids, kids grow up, right? So no matter how old you are, no matter what kind of adult you are, you always remember that your childhood cartoons. I will always watch like my 80s 90s shows once in a while, and then I get so nostalgic about it because those are the kind of shows that I grew up with. So
Mhm.
the best thing about creating content for kids is that they grow up and they still stay loyal to you, as long as you keep the essence of the show more still intact, and then they'll always keep on supporting you. Creating content for adults and teenagers, that's okay, I think, but it's a bit more tricky. It's a bit more challenging because um, the taste and the trends keep changing,
Yeah.
especially with teenagers. I understand,
Mhm.
and so it's very hard to nail that. But with kids, it's a little bit more easy. So I don't think you should worry too much about what kind of genres you want to go into. I think more importantly, that's all a matter of personal taste, personal opinion. What's more important is what is it that you want to show, what kind of story that you want to tell, and who are your target audiences that you want to focus on.
Thanks. I always, it's always nice, when you meet people and you see their sense of humor and you can kind of tell what kind of cartoons they watch when they were younger. It's like, is this a Ren and Stimpy person? Is this a The Simpsons person? You can always tell just by the sense of humor. What would
Exactly.
you say were your favorite, just your personal favorites growing up?
um One of it is Doraemon, definitely. My time that was Doraemon was big. May not be as popular to modern kids now. But Doraemon, Dragon Ball, I would go to my friend's house and hang out at his place and read all the Dragon Ball comics that he had. I watched a lot of, well, I was more of a Cartoon Network kid during my teenage years. So I watched those like Powerpuff Girls, Dexter's Laboratory. Those are one of my favorite shows. They're more funny. They're more crazy in that sense. So
Mhm.
they've always been something that I've enjoyed watching, and because they weren't really specifically made for only adults or only kids. They made it for everyone to enjoy together. So I those are some of the shows that I enjoyed watching. And other than that, I can't really think of other stuff.
Would you say that when forming Bobo Boy and all that, do you get, because they say there are some the ways that they word jokes and all that, so that the parents can watch it too, and then they can have those kind of jokes also. Is that process also included when you guys create for Bobo Boy and Papa Pipi also?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's important for us for one thing is we have to make a show that is something that kids enjoy, but also
Mhm.
the parents approve, right? If we
Mhm,
make something
yes.
that the
Mhm.
parents don't like, then, that's it. The parents won't let the kids watch it anymore. So we have always focused on creating something that is suitable for kids and the whole family to watch together.
Mhm.
But in terms of comedy, um it's always been our goal to actually make sure that adults can enjoy the comedy as well. So we have this formula we call lawa and lawan in our show, or in English it's called funny jokes and fights, or something like that.
Mhm.
So we always have those action sequences, that something that the kids would love, and then we also have those jokes that the more general public would enjoy. And there are certain jokes are more catered towards adults, so to speak. Like for our movies, we always make sure that there are more jokes that are suitable for older audiences. Not to say that they're adults that only adults can enjoy, but something that is more towards the adults' taste. And then sometimes the kids ask the parents, what does that mean? And then the fathers and the mothers have to explain it to that.
Cool. Okay, so let me just check the question. Somebody asked, what's the most challenging struggle so far while running the animation production?
Um, there's a constant struggle towards quality and quantity. Definitely, I think that any other animation production company always struggles with that. It's always making sure that you produce the best kind of quality, the best kind of shows, but at the same time, you have to make sure that you deliver on time, right? That's an advice for MMU students as well. Always make sure you don't miss your deadlines, right? I'll always make sure that you come for class and submit yeah, what is it? The crits, right? Yeah,
Yeah, the
you got to make
crits.
sure that you deliver the crits. So it's always important to do that. So it's not just about creating art. You know, it's an animation business, so that means that you got to still make money.
Mm,
So we always have to focus on producing something that's really really good, and but at the same time it's delivered on time, and that's one of some of the main struggles. So just like a balancing act, you know. And so you'll see that when we're doing animated movies, we tend to push the quality much higher, but when it's a
mm,
series we tend to keep it more conservative, something more economical, something more efficient. When we make series, I always discuss with the assets team to make sure that they're not they don't have to produce too many assets in one episode. Then we always have a rule like, okay, if you make a new set, a new location, make sure we can reuse it many times and stuff like that. So there's always a balancing act, and this is
mm,
something that you'll have to learn as you go along. Other struggles I think I would add is making sure that our content is actually something that people like. Because it's really scary, because when you're producing for a whole series, 13 episodes, like you spend a whole year or more producing it, and then you have no idea whether the audiences love it or not. Right, that's the scary thing. So we always put a lot of effort towards pitching our scripts to people. I mean, to internally, and we review it many many times. Once it's when the animation play bus is done, we review it again when the video with final comp and render is done. And then we do an internal screening, show it to people who are not part of the production. Like we show it to the admin, to the HR, to the business teams, and see what they like. And we actually even do testing with kids, like some small products that we make, like the Mobile Galaxy card. Before it is actually start mass production, the team actually tests this out with kids, whether or not kids actually understand the Mobile Galaxy product before we actually make, mass production and sell it. Because if the kids don't understand how to play it, and
mm,
that's it lah. How do we sell the Mobile Galaxy cards?
mm,
So I think those two things, right? Balancing between quality and quantity, at the same time, making sure that whatever product that we do is something that audiences can like, which is good, because once we produce anything, we release it online, we can read comments, we can scrub through Twitter, Facebook, and see what people are talking about it. So when people are doing reactions, fan fictions, and art concept, fan arts, we're looking at all of it. So we're looking at as a team, and then we're sharing. Okay, people like this character, we gotta develop them more. People are asking for this. People enjoyed this. People thought this joke is really funny. So we're always looking at the feedback from our audiences and seeing how we can improve constantly.
yeah, it's good. I think that whole, quality over quantity and all that, it applies everywhere in the creative industry,
Yeah.
especially that's good advice. So advice to all the animation students and all that. When it becomes a business, I think you're creating art for the masses. It's commercialization and all that, rather than creating art for yourself. So there are those parameters that they have to think about when they're pursuing their careers. So that was really great. Thank you. Anas, do you have any closing words for our audience before we move on?
I just like to say, for some of you who may have watched Bubble Boy back, like was it 10 years ago? I just like to say thank you for watching Bobo Boy, supporting it. I know that some of you grew up with Bobo Boy. We have had fans who were like high school students who were doing concept art. I mean, fan art of Bobo Boy. We wanted to hire them. Turns out they're still in school. Okay, when you graduate, please come work with us. We've had people who watched it with their younger siblings, and then they started to enjoy it, and then they joined us. So thanks so much for growing up with Bobo Boy, and hopefully we'll get a new generation of kids watching Mekamato, and will continue growing up with us. So thanks so much for supporting us. And don't forget to watch Mekamato once it releases in new TV stations. We'll be announcing that sometime soon, and also Mekamato movie when it's released.
Right. I think I speak for all of us saying that we're all very excited for that. So thank you, Anas. That was very insightful. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We're going to take a short break and we will continue after the AFX reel. Again, thank you, Anas. We will see you guys in a bit with Miss Lim Shuji.
Thank you, everybody.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to AFX Beyond the Classroom. Beyond the Classroom is a series of talks as part of the FCM showcase for the Unlock showcase. And we are celebrating our 25th anniversary of our animation program for FCM Multimedia University. Part of these programs are inviting back alumni to talk about their class experiences and their insights on the working world. Sorry if I'm a bit shaky. Today, the two guests that we have are industry giants, I would say, and I am quite nervous to interview both of them. Uh, for this session, our 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. session, we have Lim Shuji. She is an alumni and also the senior environment artist at PlayStation Studios. Shaking. So after graduating from MMU, Lim Shuji has been working in the game industry for over 8 years, and she currently works with Sony PlayStation. Some of her notable projects include Street Fighter V, Marvel vs. Capcom, F1 series, Immortals Phoenix Rising, to name a few. So we're gonna just hear about her experiences, how it's been, from being a student and into a working life. So yeah, you can introduce yourself, Shuji, and then we can get onto it. Go ahead. Oh, hold on. Yeah, she's having a bit of technical difficulty, but let's see. Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
I'm so sorry. My internet is really bad today. It just keeps disconnecting every few minutes.
It's okay. It happens to the best of us.
Did you ask me a question? I didn't
Yes.
catch anything.
Sorry, just now I was introducing you, and I was just saying that you can begin introducing yourself and just if you have any opening words before we get into the questions.
Okay. Hi, my name is Shuji. I am currently working as a environment artist at PlayStation Studios Malaysia. So previously, I'm also from FCM and
Oh, hold on. We're just letting Shuji's internet stabilize. Yeah, let's just figure this out. Yeah, go ahead. It's okay. Go ahead.
okay, I don't know where I left off, but okay. Should I just begin anyway?
Yeah, you can begin. Go ahead.
Okay, maybe I just show how I show my screen.
Sure.
Eh, let's see. Okay. Let me know if you see my screen already.
Yes, I can see it.
Yeah, so I first started out in the gaming industry when I joined Lemon Sky Studios during my internship. So it was a 3 months period. And yeah, so 3 months I joined the game department. So that was when I started to learn more about game modeling, game texturing. So after my 3 months internship with Lemon Sky, we came back to MMU and did our final year project. So during my time here, it was pretty interesting. Internship gave me an opportunity to learn more things that wasn't covered in the school syllabus necessarily. So it was a lot more geared towards the industry pipeline. So it was a good learning experience with Lemon Sky Studios. So after that, I moved on. Yeah, after I graduated, I started my first job with Codemaster Studios. Now it is also known as EA since it was bought over by Electronic Arts already. So while I was at Codemasters, we worked mostly on F1 games and other racing titles. So during my time here, I worked here for 3 years. So during my time here, I worked mostly on the objects and also the racetrack. So it was a pretty interesting time here as well. to learn more about modular pipeline, sharing texture, because a lot of things have to be optimized. So I learned a lot during my time here in Codemasters. And after Codemasters, I went to Streamline Studios. So Streamline Studios is an outsourcing company uh, that's in Malaysia. So during my time in Streamline, I was lucky enough to be able to participate in different projects. Uh, some of them include Marvel vs. Capcom, Street Fighter V, and Monster of the Deep. This is the VR game for Final Fantasy 15. Uh, Streamline was a lot more different than Codemasters because of the different types of projects that we are able to work on. There's actually even more than this, but some of them were unfortunately cancelled. So I was also still working on props and assets, uh, environment, but I think the difference is that because we're getting projects from different clients, so different clients have different requirements. So I also learned a lot more compared to Codemasters. Codemasters was much more of a fixed and linear pipeline. They already have the things figured out and how they want to do it. And with Streamline, the projects we are getting are from different clients and different people, so different workflows all the time. And I was at Streamline for about 2.5 years. Yeah. And then I moved to Bandai Namco, Malaysia. I was here for about 6 months. It was quite a short period of time, and I'm also really glad to during my short time here, I'm able to be part of Gundam Evo. I was only here for 6 months because I received an invitation, sort of, from the recruiter at Ubisoft Singapore. She asked me if I wanted to try doing level art, so I said yes, and I did an art test for Ubisoft. Uh, the art test had to be done in 3 days. So what they gave me was some existing textures and a set of requirement. Like they wanted me to build something using the existing textures that they have, and to do it within 3 days. So I managed to pass the test, fortunately. And then I went to Singapore. So during my time at Ubisoft, I learned a lot. It's quite different from everything I've even done before because it's now level art. So I don't do a lot of assets and prop work anymore. So it's more like working with level designers, quest designers, uh, even narrative or texture artists, concept artists. So it's working with a lot of people from different departments to work on a region. And over here, I have been fortunate enough to be part of the AC Valhalla team for a short period of time. And I worked on Immortals Phoenix Rising and also Skull and Bones. It's soon to be released. And finally, I was at Ubisoft for 2.5 years. And and then while I was there, the pandemic and everything happened. So so I was feeling stuck in Singapore, so I wanted to come back to Malaysia. So I decided to join PlayStation Studios Malaysia. So that's where I'm in right now. uh, Still no titles to show yet, but but hopefully there'll be more to come.
All right.
And yeah, I'll stop sharing.
Okay. All right. So we have quite a few questions. Just I think a lot of people have a lot of questions to ask because it's not every day we get to speak to someone who's working in the game industry. I think
Okay.
we're just used to being gamers, but it's
Mm,
fun to play the game, but
mm.
just thinking about the levels and creating all the art and all that, it's just a whole different level of appreciation. Yeah, so the first question is, what is to you, what is the difference between the experience in working in Singapore or an overseas company versus working in a Malaysian company? What are the different experiences?
For me, the experiences working in Malaysia and in Singapore is pretty much the same because the companies I've been to are also multinational companies.
Mhm.
So we generally work with people from all over the country. So in that sense, there is not too much of a difference. Yeah.
Okay. And then you mentioned, like, of course, while you were working, COVID hit. I mean, COVID hit for everyone.
Mm.
Were there any difficulties working from home or remotely compared to working on site, like in the office?
Yeah, sometimes you get like internet disconnection like what I'm having right now. Then sometimes like you have meeting and then people get disconnected from the call and then having to rejoin. So yeah, communication is lacking sometimes. So to compensate for that, we always have to over communicate.
Mm,
We have to send out messages, remind each other because sometimes if we don't see the person, we tend to forget what we're supposed to be telling the other person. So
mm,
that was the cons of not working in yeah, cons of working from home. But the pros of working from home is that, of course, you don't have to go through the daily commute. You save a lot of time, and then I feel like I get a lot more work done. Yeah, because I'm always in front of the PC. So, in that sense, yeah, that helped. But yeah, because of COVID, we also lack a lot of team bonding. So I feel like there needs to be a balance between work from home and also on site work.
mm. Would you say that in your line of work, as environment artist or as an assets artist, would you say that the process of designing the game or your job scope in general, is it more important that you guys are like together in person and looking at the stuff together, or is it fine everyone works on their own stuff and then it gets put together?
It can work both ways.
Mm,
I think like if there's a need for some high level meeting, especially if like your art director needs to tell you something important, like realign the creative direction, then I
mhm,
think maybe it's best that we are all in office together, so
mm,
that we can immediately ask questions and talk to each other immediately. So I would say that is important. But otherwise, if we already know what we are doing, like let's say we already have the concept art and we have the asset specification already, and we are very clear what we're gonna do, then I think work from home in this sense is still not an issue. It's
mm.
still doable.
I think it's like an artist's dream to just be able to sit at home and, and just do the work.
Yeah, but like I cannot do 100% of the time.
Yeah,
You still have to come back to
but
office
it does
sometimes.
help.
Yes.
So we have a question. For fresh graduates
Mm.
out there, could you describe the process of an art test when it comes to applying to a studio?
Okay, for fresh graduates, usually you can submit in your FYP. Uh, I think it doesn't matter even if you're not in the game industry, even if you didn't study a game course, because I didn't. As long as you know your basic modeling, your basic texturing, all that is fine, and then you can apply in as intern. I think a lot of companies are more than willing to help teach and guide fresh graduates on our industry. Yeah, so I don't think that's a problem at all. Just submit your FYP, or if you have any work, personal work, you can also submit them together.
Mm. I think that's really comforting for some of our prospective
No
graduates.
worries, we are always hiring.
Yeah, it's difficult because as a student, I feel that you're always going to be looking at your work. I'm sure at some point in your career, you've looked at your work and you've thought like, oh, can I like apply for these big companies and all
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
So it's good to know that, there's always like the door is always open to teach and all that.
Yes,
Mm.
yes.
On that topic, what is the greatest myth about working in game development companies that you would like to dispel?
Uh, working in a game company doesn't mean you play games all the time. I mean, sometimes you do if you work on a specific project and you are required to play test it so
Mm.
that they get more data. Then yeah, sometimes you play lah. But it's not always super fun because the initial phase of the games are always buggy and it will cause you motion sickness and all that. So it's not all that fun. Yeah.
You guys are working with the beta of the beta
Yeah, yeah,
version.
yeah.
So it's nothing like the beta at all. The structure of the company, do you have like, are there game testers or do the people in the company themselves test the games?
We have outsider game testers, but they will
Mm.
also ask artists, people who work on the project to come and play also, so that
Mm.
we get like a bigger view. Because sometimes when we are working on our own area, we don't see like the entire world that we are building. So
Mm.
it's good to step back and then just play our own game.
Mm.
So that's why they arrange play tests for us.
Are you a heavy gamer yourself?
No.
Oh, okay. That's quite interesting. But
So
do
it's
you
okay to join a game company if even though you don't play
you
so
know?
much. Yeah. It's not like hardcore gamers only can come into the game industry. It's okay if you are casual.
Oh, okay. So do you have any favorite games that you're playing right now?
Currently right now would be Hades.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
I
a good
play on
game.
Switch.
That's a good game. I'm watching a lot of they're doing speed runs and starting
Mm.
from zero, trying to
Yeah.
get through the whole thing.
Yeah. Even
Yeah.
though you die multiple times, it's
Mm.
still not boring. I don't feel like it's boring yet. So yeah, it has a lot of replayability factor.
There's lots of different ways you can play it. Like you
Yeah.
don't have to go through the regular way, right?
Yeah.
Right. So okay. Right. So what's this? Any interesting experiences when working with any projects? Of course, projects that you can share. Is there anything worth like sharing?
Anything interesting?
Yeah.
Uh, I don't think there's a particular one that stand out, but sometimes we do get fussy clients that can be pretty picky, like down to like color picking with
Oh.
numbers. Yeah, so not anything funny, like more like stressful encounters with clients.
Okay. Um. Okay. What else? How much? Okay. So. Oh, okay. So this is quite an interesting question. So, because just like you said just now, it's not like you get to play games all day because everyone thinks that when you hear game development, you think, oh, you play the games, you do a bit of fixing here, and then it's done.
Actually, you do get to play the game every day if you are a game tester.
If
But
you're a game tester,
yeah, but you play the same thing over and over again. I don't know how fun is it going to be.
hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was one question where they were asking, how does it like your perspective? Does it ruin your experience? When they say don't do what you love because then you're gonna end up hating it, right? So has it affected now that you're like working and creating the levels and all that? Has it affected how you choose games, or like if you're planning to play any games in the future, has it
Mhm.
affected knowing that the processes behind it?
Not really. Not really. I don't think it ruins it for me. I think it's the opposite. You have more appreciation for what other game companies are doing, how much they push their visuals, their gameplay, the tech, and all that. So I don't think it has ruined it for me. Yeah. It's okay. It won't. I don't think it will spoil anyone's experience.
Oh, we're getting some people saying that they're remembering your animation because you were part of the changing batteries
Yes.
team, right? Yeah.
Thank you for remembering it. It's a long time ago.
That was actually one of my favorite animations.
Thank you.
Yeah, when I started teaching, I watched it and I was like, oh, that's it's really great. The art style and the story behind it. Yeah. So speaking of like time in MMU, is there any um moments with lecturers or moments with students or friends when you were studying that you remember, or any lecturer lessons that you've learned with the lecturer that's kind of like shaped how you are now?
I'm pretty thankful to all my lecturers in MMU that they really like helped me, especially when we did our final year project. Yeah, it was quite interesting time. It was difficult. We had challenges, and you mentioned that you like the art style, but actually there's something funny going on with how we came up with the art style. So initially we were just doing normal render in Maya, but the lighting. But we didn't really get the look that we want, so it was pretty ugly. So we had no choice but to try to step some filter on and make it like painterly style. So it was like totally by accident that we got the style we did for changing batteries.
Oh, wow, that's a happy accident. It's really
Yeah.
nice. It turned out really well. I think every time that film was showed during a showcase, I always hear in the crowd like, oh, it looks like they painted everything. Everything looks so like, and I was like
it's
thinking,
some
yeah.
it's some filter.
I was like, I thought it was like a real commitment.
And it was like last minute, so we had to just, oh my god, slap all the filter away and then just quickly render it out, and then like, oh, okay, we had to settle for this.
Oh my God. When you were a student, did you ever think that your career would be what it is today?
No, because when I graduated, I had two options. One
Mhm.
was to join the animation company,
Mhm.
or to take up the offer from Codemasters.
Mhm.
So in the end I chose Codemasters because it was nearer to home. The animation company was all the way in Cyberjaya. I don't want to travel back to Cyber, so I went like, yeah. It was also by accident that I got into the game industry.
Okay.
Yeah,
Did you have plans before that, like before you applied for games and all that?
I I was interested in modeling and texturing more than I was interested in animation. So when we had the chance to go for internship, uh, I chose the game department in Lemon Sky because I just wanted to, see what is it about. So that's how I learned more about the game industry side of things. So I decided to just, put in my application to Codemasters as well, just to try and see if I get it. So
Mm.
I did, and yeah. So it was most more on the modeling and texturing side that appealed to me.
Nice. Okay, so of course we know that some games are a little bit more high profile than other games, right? So would you say, was there a difference in the work culture for bigger, like quote unquote bigger games versus like smaller release games? Was there a big difference?
If let's say, for instance, at Ubisoft is quite big. The games are big. It's open world game, so because it's an open world game, we have to work with a lot of people from different departments. Just on
Mhm.
one location, you have to coordinate with a lot of people and talk to a lot of people all the time. And if I compare it to working, let's say, in outsourcing company like uh, Streamline, at Streamline we were more focused on just the asset. You're assigned an asset, and then you just have to focus on that object itself. So there wasn't too much of a collaboration. At most, I just worked with my texture artist or my lead. But at Ubisoft, you have to work with a lot more people.
Mm.
Yeah, so it's more interaction and more managing stuff.
Okay. Yeah, so what was the most challenging thing you've ever worked on and why?
Most challenging thing I've ever worked on. Actually, I don't know if I can say the project. or not icon. I'm not very sure, but it was for it was an outsourcing job that we had to do, and they remember the client was uh, very particular. And back then at Streamline, we were using Max, and then we had to, but the client was using Maya, so we had to do the work in Max's and then after that convert it to Maya. But Max to Maya conversion causes a lot of problem. So there was some issues there as well. And then we had deadline. And yeah, this one I mentioned earlier about the client color picking by numbers, the color value. So yeah, there was a bunch of headache there as well. Yeah.
Going
So I
through
think
the
it's more like
hacks.
it's more like client specification. Sometimes it's maybe like we find it unreasonable, lah, but they have their own reasons why they want to do it that way. So mm.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah. Did you ever think? I mean, do you ever think now about shifting gears and moving over to like a VFX company or like a film company? Do you ever think?
I don't know. I think I'll be very scared to make that transition. Yeah. I mean,
You,
I think if it's still like modeling and texturing work, I can still do it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Maybe. I don't know.
But is it? Do you feel like it's a? I mean, of course, because with games you're working with everything's 3D assets and all that. You're not working with like mocap and all.
Mm.
Would it be like a very big transition to move from, doing all 3D assets to doing VFX? Is it a completely different skill set or is it interchangeable? Do you think?
I feel, for me, I feel like I will have to relearn. Like,
Mm,
I didn't learn much of VFX stuff. So if I want to do VFX, I will probably have to relearn new things. Yeah.
mm. And do you feel that companies allow that space for someone to kind of grow and learn? Or is it like when you join the companies, you're expected to kind of hit the ground running and start straight away?
You usually get room to grow and
Mm,
to learn more. Like even back in Ubisoft,
mm,
we were allowed to kind of do like a lateral transition. Like let's say, I don't want to be as artist anymore. I want to try concept art. So we were allowed to try and do that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it was still possible.
Mm.
It is still possible now, of course.
I think that's quite comforting for students, for anyone
Mm,
wanting to go there, because you would think that a big company, everyone just kind of sits in their pods and
mhm.
does what they're supposed to do. But to hear that, you're allowed to kind of switch over and see what you can do, I think that's a whole
Yeah.
world of possibilities for
Yeah.
everyone. Hmm. Okay. Yeah. So, okay. Another question is, what are the favorite things you can remember from some of the games that you worked on? We talked about the bad stuff. So let's talk about the good stuff.
The favorite
Hmm.
favorite moments in while working on a game.
While working on a game, yeah.
Favorite moments. Uh, I think the best times are always when we were chasing deadlines together. For me, for some reason, it's always like when we are, like crunching down together. It creates that bond. For me, lah, I feel like it's always the people that I work with that makes a difference in the experience overall. So it's
Mm.
not so much about game titles and all that. It's the people that you work with day in and day out, and you try to do your best to deliver this game together. Yeah. So for me, I think those are the memorable times. Or sometimes like we have outings together, so those are also memorable.
Very much a team effort.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Let's see. What else are we seeing? Um, is there any difference
Mm-hmm.
in how you produce the work based on what platform the game is being developed for?
Mm, okay. For instance, not really actually. Uh we just do the work based on the engine that we're working on. Like let's say we're using Unreal to develop the game. we just continue to do it in Unreal.
Mm.
Uh, porting and like porting it to different consoles and all that, they usually not part of my job scope.
Mm.
So I just focus on doing the work in the engine that we are given. Like I say in Ubisoft, we have our own internal engine, so we just use that to develop the game. And then the porting part, whether it's to PC or PS4, PS5, all that, that is handled by another department.
Okay. Do you have a particular engine that you favor more than others, like Unreal, or which one's your favorite and why?
No favorite because all engine have their own quirks and yeah, they will always, they can sense your panic and then they will shut down when you want to rush something. It's always like that.
Is there any, because I'm seeing a lot of like new developments with Unreal, that they have the real-time rendering as you're modeling and all that. Is there any new technologies that you're looking forward to in terms of new softwares and all that?
Unreal Engine is definitely promising, UE5, in terms of how high they can go. But at the same time, it remains to be seen like how much, whether they can develop like an open world game in Unreal 5. I'm not
Mm.
sure. Yeah, because we always see like just the demo, but not like the full functioning game with all the characters, with all the gameplay, with all the VFX, everything running together. So we'll see how
Mm.
it develops. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so this is a question, this I think from me as a gamer myself.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on people who like to game, who like to glitch in their games, who like to explore beyond the models and all that?
Oh
Because
no.
I myself am a fan,
Mm-hmm.
but I
Okay.
know I know that there are different I know that there are different parts. Like some gamers love it. They love like exploring, seeing ahead and all that. But I
Mm-hmm.
think it's an interesting perspective to ask the actual designer. What are your thoughts when gamers go above the model and look at all the loose ends and all that? What are your thoughts on that?
I don't particularly mind. I mean, like if you put in so much effort to try and break and glitch the game, then you must really be, interested enough to try and figure out what is it that we're doing and all that. So it's part of exploration. So I
Mm.
appreciate that that everyone takes the effort to try and glitch the game. Um, yeah, but we cannot hide cannot hide all our mistakes. So.
Have, have you ever like hid any Easter eggs within the glitch, or is that like not allowed by the company?
Not really. We usually just put Easter eggs on where people can normally play and see it, not so much
Mm-mm.
on where you're not
In
seeing
the
it. Because
glitch, yeah.
otherwise, the technical artist will come after you and say why you never optimize your work. Yeah,
I understood.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that's great. Okay, let's see. What other questions? Um, oh, okay. So, how much input do you have in the creation? Have I asked this already? How much input do you
And
have? No, in the creation of the assets, or is the design completely fixed, or does the asset artist or the game texture artist and all that, do you have your own freedom just a little bit to add in your own styles or something, or is everything very fixed? You're just like putting everything in its place.
mm, most of the time, like let's say for outsourcing work, you will be given a concept art already.
Hmm.
So usually you can follow. Of course, sometimes in concept art you can't really determine what kind of material it is or what fabric it is, so you can try and put in your own input
Mm.
or like the fabric that you think would match and would work. In terms of altering it, I don't think you have that much of a freedom, especially if it's like if the client has already given you like a fixed set of specification that they want.
Mm.
But in terms of level artwork, like in Ubisoft, we do get more freedom to have our own input. let's say I will work with my level designer. Like let's say if we are in charge of a certain location, we get to decide what kind of landmark we want to put there to help
Mm,
guide the players along to move across the map. So we do get that kind of freedom to uh, put our own input. But of course, after that we have to check with our art director as well.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, do you have any advice for students who are trying to decide if he or she should join games, animation, or VFX studio? What advice would you give them, knowing what you know now?
Games, animation, or VFX?
Mm.
Mm, because I am in the gaming industry, I would say please come to the game industry. I feel like we really there is a lot of opportunity now in the gaming industry. There are a lot of openings. You have so many companies right now. You have Virtuous, you have Sony, Streamline, you have Fashion Republic, Codemasters, EA now. So it's always expanding, and there's like a lot of openings. So I feel like opportunity is a lot right now.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, how do you, and this sounds like a very cliche question, but I think everyone needs to, because I know that creatives, they go through burnout at some point. And I feel that, when you're doing something like creative every day, there will be a point where you're just kind of like, you're just going through the motions, you're just doing the same thing. So what are some activities that you would recommend to anyone doing animation or in the creative industry that you practice that keeps you kind of inspired and kind of puts that burnout at bay? What do you do?
For me, I would do something outside of 3D.
Mm.
I crochet. I make crochet toys. So for me,
Oh,
sometimes I do that to de-stress. Yeah, it's something different. Yeah,
mm,
something that I can make with my hands as well. So for me, that works. Yeah.
mm. Wow. Because I mean, you can't exactly play games.
You can actually you can.
You can.
I have colleagues that are like super into games. Like they
Mm,
would take leaves to play games and all that. So I think for them, maybe their way of handling burnout is also by playing more games. Yeah,
mm,
just playing games and not think about anything about work. Yeah.
mm. So that with COVID, especially, people kind of I don't know if it's COVID. I
Mm,
think it's COVID,
mm.
but I feel that people's perception of games have completely shifted because it's become like our comfort thing,
Ah.
especially with like Animal Crossing and Switch
Yeah.
and all that. And
Yeah.
everyone was like completely fine with being at home because we were all like
Animal
this.
Animal Crossing helped a lot when I was stuck in Singapore. That was like it really helped to because you can go online and invite friends to come to the island and all that. So yeah,
Yeah.
we had like a group. Then you check the turnip prices and all that. That was fun.
I was obsessed with Animal Crossing in the beginning. But yeah, I think that's one of the things. Like, that was, I don't know if it was a COVID thing. Even before that, like
Mhm,
esports and all that has become like a huge thing. You
mhm.
can you can build a career. I mean, outside of the topic of game development, but
Yeah.
like the fact that you can develop an entire career just by
Mm.
playing games through esports. It's insane, you know. I mean, if
Yeah.
Animal Crossing was competitive, I think rushing to to
Who
buy
has the
turnips,
most? Who has the what? A lot of money.
a lot of money, or like who plants the most roses or something. But yeah, it's nice. It's nice to see, and it's nice to talk to someone who is so heavily involved in games and all that. Like I said, I was quite nervous because I was looking at like your work, your past works and all that, like Bandai Ubisoft, and I was thinking, oh my god, like I'm shaking. But yeah, it's been really great. Okay, let me check if there are any more questions. Hold on, yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. Hold on, guys. We're having a bit of technical difficulty. Shuji is frozen again.
Ah, am I
Okay,
back?
yeah, you're
Yes,
back. You're
I'm
back.
back.
Okay, yeah, so that's it for the questions. Do you have any closing words that you'd like to say to everyone watching at home and future graduates and all that?
If you closing words, if you are ever worried about like because in MMU we are not really like studying like a specific game course, I would say you don't have to worry so much about it. Because MMU does cover all the modeling and all your texturing. The workflow is all there. Your groundwork is there. So don't be afraid to apply to any game companies and try and intern there, gain your experience there. It's totally possible. So don't be worried. Yeah. And uh, I guess always stay open minded and adaptable because the game industry is always changing.
Mm.
So just just be just be open minded.
Be yourself.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. All right. Thank you so much, Shuji. That was so great. I think we got so many questions out of the
Oh,
way.
okay.
And thank you for sharing and spending your evening with us.
Thank you for having me.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. And thank you everyone for tuning in at home. That's the end of our 9 p.m. session for AFX Beyond the Classroom. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope everyone enjoyed themselves and got all the information that they needed, or just like came and hang out with us for the afternoon. It's been great. Thank you for watching, and we will see you guys next time. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.